Introduction. Evaluating preparation methods and structural synergy in cruciferous vegetables. This exploration begins by evaluating a critical foundational aspect of dietary wellness, specifically focusing on how everyday whole foods interact with the body's natural internal balancing systems. When individuals incorporate cabbage into their daily meals, based on its respected reputation for nurturing vitality, understanding the precise preparation context remains highly essential. In certain structural scenarios, the specific method of preparation or the distinct whole foods with which it is paired may not deliver the universal benefits that are widely assumed. Researchers in Korea have dedicated significant focus to studying the elegant relationship between specific dietary patterns and long-term fluid filtration health. Longitudinal reviews suggest that even traditionally celebrated cruciferous vegetables require careful situational context, rather than being automatically ideal for every individual framework. Depending entirely on how it is prepared and the corresponding ingredients involved, cabbage can introduce unexpected demands for certain physical systems. This is particularly relevant for those navigating sensitive filtration pathways, metabolic harmony, or mineral crystallization concerns within their daily wellness routines. A meaningful dimension that wellness researchers emphasize is that many individuals, despite practicing the most meticulous health habits, can inadvertently maintain common dietary pairings without realizing the systemic friction created. This discussion aims to highlight traditional wellness insights alongside modern physiological observations from Korea, helping to guide the integration of this vibrant vegetable in a beautifully balanced, secure manner. The analysis gracefully addresses which specific food combinations deserve thoughtful caution, the specific physical profiles that benefit from tailored moderation, and the simple, protective culinary methods available to preserve nutritional value while minimizing systemic stress. As a baseline parameter, these collective insights are designed exclusively to support the natural journey of healthy aging, and should never serve as a replacement for individualized clinical guidance from a primary care specialist. For those navigating mindful dietary patterns, exploring these structural adjustments until the conclusion of this discussion remains highly valuable. The practical, foundational adjustments examined today offer a profound opportunity to enhance long-term physical equilibrium and nurture enduring systemic vitality. Chapter 1. The critical foundations of late-day filtration and systemic equilibrium. Prior to exploring the specific properties of cruciferous vegetables, it remains essential to understand a foundational dimension of the maturing physical system. Longitudinal data and research from Korea consistently indicate that gradual shifts in filtration efficiency become increasingly common across new phases of maturity. Indeed, many individuals over the age of 60 experience these subtle biological transitions within their filtration pathways, without presenting clear, immediate indicators in the early stages. This physiological reality is precisely why daily, intentional whole food selections carry such an immense degree of structural importance. Even highly celebrated, nutrient-dense options like cabbage can interact with the physical framework differently, based on how they are prepared and the corresponding ingredients involved. Certain culinary combinations can introduce unexpected friction for individuals already navigating sensitive filtration systems or unique underlying baseline parameters. This analytical perspective encourages a balanced understanding, rather than advising a complete omission of this vibrant vegetable from the daily table. The discussion highlights specific ingredient pairings that deserve extra caution, alongside practical culinary methods designed to support healthy aging and optimal fluid equilibrium. Exploring these insights until the conclusion remains highly valuable for developing a comprehensive understanding of late-day nutrition. The analysis gracefully incorporates a traditional Korean culinary alignment, featuring sea vegetables and crisp cucumber, a classic, refreshing presentation, celebrated for supporting cardiovascular equilibrium and metabolic weight management. Modest, intentional adjustments within the domestic kitchen consistently foster a beautiful and profound difference in long-term systemic harmony. The inquiry naturally begins with an analysis of the initial ingredient combination, that is widely assumed to be universally beneficial, yet requires careful situational evaluation. Chapter 2. Synergistic Principles in Age-Related Transitions in Gastrointestinal Function. Prior to assessing specific ingredient classifications, evaluating the precise manner in which the human framework transitions across various stages of maturity remains fundamentally important. A thorough understanding of these internal shifts is essential, as even traditionally celebrated whole foods can interact differently with the body as the years advance. The internal digestive matrix can be conceptually viewed as a highly calibrated, beautifully organized production facility. Upon the introduction of dietary elements, natural gastric secretions and specialized digestive catalysts operate in complete harmony to break down nutrients for optimal systemic absorption. During earlier chapters of life, this intricate metabolic progression typically operates with exceptional efficiency and resilience. Even when encountering complex or structurally demanding whole foods, the younger system consistently manages the digestive workload without experiencing significant friction. However, following the threshold of 60 years, subtle physiological modifications gradually begin to unfold within the system. Longitudinal data from Korea demonstrate that natural gastric secretions tend to decline progressively with age, while the performance of specialized catalysts may also experience reduced efficiency. In practical terms, the gastrointestinal framework functions similarly to a faithful mechanism that has operated continuously for several decades. While it continues to fulfill its primary duties beautifully, it may no longer process multiple, demanding tasks simultaneously with the same ease observed in earlier periods. Consequently, certain complex food pairings can gradually present a higher degree of metabolic difficulty for the maturing system. When dietary elements remain within the gastrointestinal tract longer than optimal, it can introduce localized discomfort, structural fullness, and an elevated accumulation of metabolic residual compounds. This physiological progression directly links to the vital responsibilities of the internal filtration pathways. Operating continuously without interruption, these vital networks filter the circulatory stream to systematically manage and remove metabolic byproducts from the physical framework. Nevertheless, baseline filtration efficiency also undergoes a gradual, natural transition as a standard aspect of the aging process. Research suggests that this delicate shift is typically slow and progressive, which is precisely why protecting structural filtration health carries heightened significance in later years. This reality beautifully underscores the profound impact of small, intentional daily lifestyle selections. It is rarely a singular meal or an isolated ingredient that creates systemic friction over time. More frequently, it is the accumulation of long-term behavioral patterns and repeated dietary choices that either supports baseline harmony or introduces unnecessary stress to the physical framework. The encouraging dimension of this research highlights that simple, elegant adjustments in preparation methods and ingredient pairings can foster a deeply meaningful difference. Having established these natural chronological transitions within the maturing body, the analysis gracefully shifts toward the initial, cruciferous pairing that benefits from thoughtful caution. Chapter 3. Fluid Saturation and Enzymatic Dynamics in Concentrated Botanical Pairings. The initial dietary combination that benefits from careful structural evaluation involves the simultaneous integration of cabbage, crisp cucumber, and watermelon. This structural pairing frequently introduces a natural question regarding whether a fresh botanical salad featuring these elements represents a universally ideal choice for individuals in earlier stages of life. Navigating optimal filtration baseline metrics. This combination typically processes with complete ease as the physical framework enters new stages of maturity. However, in particularly if the natural filtration pathways have begun to adjust their efficiency, the system processes certain nutrient volumes differently. The underlying reality is never that these individual whole foods lack nutritional value, as all three represent excellent sources of essential vitamins. Rather, the primary consideration stems from the reality that these specific selections are exceptionally high in natural water content and deliver moderate levels of potassium, Consequently, individuals navigating sensitive filtration systems, or reduced clearance efficiency, benefit greatly from practicing mindful portion management regarding this specific combination. As the body matures, the internal filtration architecture naturally moderates its baseline. Processing speed is a standard part of the aging process. For this reason, avoiding a sudden, concentrated volume of these specific fluid-heavy elements protects the system from experiencing unnecessary metabolic demands. An additional and highly sophisticated variable centers on the behavior of essential vitamins, specifically vitamin C. Cruciferous selections serve as an outstanding source of natural vitamin C and vital antioxidant compounds. Longitudinal biochemical reviews note that specific active enzymes residing within raw, unpeeled cucumbers can subtly interact with vitamin C when processed simultaneously, while the overall impact on daily nutritional absorption is generally considered minor. Separating these elements across different meals allows the system to maximize the distinct biochemical benefits of each whole food. Observations within senior wellness communities highlight a 71-year-old resident who cultivated these fresh elements in her summer garden and regularly enjoyed them together on her daily table. Over an extended period, she began to observe a subtle accumulation of localized fluid retention in her lower extremities, alongside a natural fullness in her facial tissues. During the early morning hours, subsequent physiological evaluations indicated that her baseline filtration pathways were operating at a more moderate efficiency level than she had previously assumed. Fortunately, implementing dedicated nutritional guidance and gentle adjustments to her ingredient pairings allowed her physical framework to return to a beautiful state of equilibrium. Over the following months, this narrative underscores a vital lesson for long-term health management, demonstrating that optimal wellness extends far beyond simply increasing the consumption of raw foods. True dietary harmony requires a deep understanding of what the internal system requires at distinct, evolving chapters of life. When the physical framework presents indicators, such as localized fluid retention in the feet or ankles, noticeable morning fullness around the eyes, or frequent nighttime awakenings, accompanied by persistent texturing in fluid clearance, these signs are highly worthy of discussion with a clinical specialist. Most importantly, this perspective encourages a balanced understanding, rather than alarm, as these celebrated foods remain highly valuable when integrated with appropriate moderation. The key to enduring vitality resides in structural balance, portion awareness, and an accurate understanding of one's current internal baseline parameters. Modest, intentional adjustments at the daily table today serve as a magnificent foundation for protecting the filtration pathways and nurturing long-term physical independence. This opens a vital path toward exploring an additional cruciferous combination that benefits from thoughtful, proactive refinement. Chapter 4: Thyroid Pathways, Mineral Transport, and Secondary Filtration Demands. The subsequent dietary intersection, requiring thoughtful evaluation, involves the simultaneous pairing of cabbage with diverse sea vegetables, such as kelp, dulse, and dried laver. This specific integration often introduces a highly compelling layer of physiological interest. Within mature wellness frameworks, traditional culinary practices in Korea have incorporated these vibrant marine elements for generations, celebrating them as foundational components of deeply nourishing seasonal broths. Modern biochemical reviews, however, provide a more nuanced look at how specific organic compounds within these whole foods interact. Inside the digestive matrix, cruciferous vegetables naturally contain unique sulfur-rich plant compounds, known as glucosinolates. As these components are methodically broken down during the digestive process, they yield secondary byproducts that can subtly interact with the metabolic pathways. Utilization of essential iodine. Natural iodine serves as a critical mineral element, required continuously by the internal regulatory system. This vital network utilizes the mineral to synthesize active hormones that manage baseline metabolism, thermal regulation, daily energy reserves, and cardiovascular rhythms. Sea vegetables represent an exceptionally rich, concentrated source of natural marine iodine for individuals navigating earlier stages of life. With optimal baseline parameters, the internal regulatory framework balances these elements with complete resilience. Following the threshold of 60 years, however, natural metabolic regulation undergoes a gradual transition, making the harmony between these compounds increasingly significant. Longitudinal observations indicate that gradual transitions in metabolic regulation become more frequent in later chapters of life, particularly within the female biology, when the internal system encounters subtle friction in utilizing available iodine efficiently. Hormone synthesis can adapt by shifting into a lower baseline. Consequently, the physical framework may present subtle indicators, such as reduced vitality, a heightened sensitivity to cooler temperatures, localized dermal dryness, general digestive slowing, or delicate alterations in vocal clarity. Crucially, these metabolic pathways are deeply intertwined with the performance of the internal filtration architecture. Active metabolic hormones heavily influence the volume and efficiency of blood flow directed to the filtration pathways. When these regulatory systems operate at a more conservative pace, circulatory delivery to the filtration zones can decrease, introducing secondary demands on an architecture that is already managing natural chronological transitions. An additional layer of complexity centers on the significant potassium levels naturally present in both cruciferous selections and marine vegetables. While optimal filtration networks manage this essential mineral without difficulty, a maturing system experiencing a natural reduction in clearance efficiency may require a more balanced, paced intake. Maintaining an optimal mineral equilibrium is foundational, as sudden or prolonged elevations can interact delicately with the heart's natural rhythmic patterns. For this reason, individuals navigating long-term filtration challenges are frequently encouraged to manage their concentrated mineral intake with professional guidance. Traditional dining patterns in Korea occasionally feature rich marine broths alongside crisp, raw cabbage side dishes during the same meal. While each element independently delivers exceptional nutritional density, consuming both in large, concentrated amounts day after day can present unexpected workload demands for mature systems navigating sensitive filtration or metabolic pathways. When the physical framework encounters these subtle shifts, individuals might observe a combination of persistent tiredness despite adequate rest, feeling cool in temperate environments, changes in skin texture or hair density, localized digestive slowing, vocal hoarseness, or a distinct sensation of fullness around the throat. These indicators do not automatically imply a significant underlying concern, yet they remain highly valuable to discuss with a clinical specialist. When observed consistently over time, observations within mature wellness groups highlight a 67-year-old resident who regularly incorporated concentrated marine broths into her morning routine, frequently pairing them with raw cruciferous wraps later in the day. Over an extended period, her physical framework began to express a gradual decline in daily energy, modest shifts in weight stability, and a noticeable sensitivity to seasonal cooling. Subsequent metabolic reviews revealed that her internal regulatory system was operating at a highly conservative baseline. Following the introduction of tailored clinical guidance and a beautiful, structured adjustment to her dietary timing, her physical framework beautifully regained its natural vitality, allowing her to comfortably return to her cherished community choral activities. To be completely clear, this research never suggests a total avoidance of these nutrient-dense botanical and marine treasures. Both elements offer extraordinary wellness profiles. The secret resides entirely in structural balance and intentional timing, rather than presenting these elements within the same culinary sitting. Allowing several hours of separation beautifully supports optimal nutrient utilization without overloading internal pathways. For those utilizing dedicated thyroid support protocols, following individualized guidance from a primary care specialist regarding dietary adjustments remains paramount. True healthy aging rarely requires the elimination of celebrated whole foods, but rather focuses on the art of combining them with wisdom and longevity in mind. This insight smoothly transition toward evaluating the subsequent cruciferous pairing that benefits from thoughtful, proactive refinement. Chapter 5. coagulation cascades, sodium density, and vascular equilibrium. The subsequent dietary intersection, requiring the highest degree of analytical oversight, involves the simultaneous presence of concentrated, cruciferous variables and highly mineralized traditional fermented sides. For individuals utilizing dedicated circulatory thinning therapies, navigating a history of vascular crystallization, or managing structural heart valve adjustments, understanding this biochemical mechanism is profoundly essential. Cabbage represents a remarkably rich, natural source of organic vitamin K. Specifically, a standard 100-gram portion delivers approximately 76 micrograms of this essential, fat-soluble element. Within the broader population, vitamin K serves as a magnificent asset for maintaining skeletal density, supporting natural wound resolution pathways, and preserving vascular wall integrity. However, for individuals relying on traditional anticoagulant agents, such as warfarin, this specific vitamin introduces a variable that demands meticulous volumetric consistency. Anticoagulant therapies operate systematically by moderating the activity of vitamin K within the internal metabolic center, thereby protecting the system from unwanted vascular crystallization. Those navigating specific cardiovascular parameters, including arterial rhythms or artificial structural valves, depend heavily on this delicate therapeutic balance to minimize the risk of acute vascular challenges. When an abrupt, elevated volume of vitamin K is introduced into the digestive matrix, the therapeutic predictability of the anticoagulant agent can be significantly altered. Biochemical consistency can shift, potentially introducing unexpected demands on the vascular clearance system. Longitudinal clinical reviews demonstrate that sharp, unpaced fluctuations in daily vitamin K intake present measurable difficulty in maintaining specialized coagulation markers within the ideal therapeutic range. The secondary dimension of this specific dietary configuration involves the frequent pairing of cabbage with traditionally fermented selections, such as high-sodium kimchi varieties. While classic kimchi stands as a deeply revered cultural staple, celebrating exceptional microbiome benefits, certain prepared styles can introduce elevated concentrations of mineralized sodium. An overabundance of dietary sodium can gradually elevate fluid tension within the vascular pathways, placing secondary structural stress on both the renal architecture and the cardiovascular framework. For mature individuals whose filtration systems are already adapting to natural chronological transitions, managing this specific sodium intake represents a fundamental priority. Historical data within senior care networks. Observe a retired individual in his late 60s, who, following a successful valve adjustment, maintained his prescribed anticoagulant routine meticulously, believing that raw cruciferous extracts would uniquely nurture his circulatory pathways. He began consuming concentrated cabbage juices each morning, while continuing to enjoy highly seasoned, traditional kimchi with every main meal. Over several months, this combined concentration of variable vitamin K and high sodium interacted delicately with his internal baseline parameters. Subsequent evaluations noted temporary neurological friction before timely clinical measures restored systemic balance. Clinical measurements revealed that his coagulation markers had adjusted below the ideal therapeutic threshold, accompanied by elevated fluid tension within his vascular pathways. Fortunately, the implementation of balanced guidance allowed his system to return to a secure state of health, enabling him to confidently resume his cherished activities within his local community. This observation beautifully highlights that even the most celebrated whole foods require a philosophy of moderation and structural consistency. For those utilizing specific circulatory therapies, the optimal path is never a sudden, extreme elevation of cruciferous elements without first coordinating with a primary clinical specialist. Equally important is avoiding the complete, abrupt elimination of vitamin K-rich vegetables from the table. Within the maturing system, long-term consistency carries far greater biological value than sudden dietary extremes. Wellness authorities universally recommend maintaining a steady, beautifully predictable baseline of vitamin K intake, rather than introducing dramatic variations from week to week. Integrating cabbage into the daily menu remains entirely appropriate when managed with proper portion awareness and balanced alongside lower sodium accompaniments. Evaluating these intricate interaction profiles can occasionally induce a sense of hesitation regarding whether cruciferous selections should be omitted entirely. Understanding these nuances, however, prevents unnecessary alarm, as cabbage remains one of nature's most profoundly nutritious offerings. The primary consideration is never the vegetable itself, but rather the intentional method of its preparation, the ingredients with which it shares the table, and how beautifully these choices align with an individual's unique biological framework. The analysis gracefully transitions toward practical, protective culinary styles, traditionally embraced to support filtration health, while minimizing structural stress on the maturing system. Chapter 6. Synergistic Infusions, Pectin Dynamics and Thermal Pre-Treatment in Botanical Blends. Evaluating the proactive, encouraging dimensions of dietary management reveals that cruciferous selections carry an extraordinary abundance of foundational nutrients. Cabbage naturally delivers exceptional levels of vitamin C, essential vitamin K, structural fiber, and vibrant anthocyanins, which beautifully support long-term digestive resilience and skeletal stability. The primary variable for success, however, is never the simple consumption of the raw vegetable, but rather the intentional method of its preparation and the structural synergy of its ingredient pairings. This segment highlights the initial traditional, Korean-inspired culinary pattern, designed to offer an exceptionally gentle, streamlined, and elegant addition to the daily table. This foundational alignment gracefully pairs the structural attributes of cabbage with the natural chemistry of crisp apples. Within the framework of senior wellness, understanding that gastrointestinal transit and digestive vitality undergo a natural, gradual moderation over time is highly essential. Raw cruciferous elements possess robust structural fibers that can occasionally introduce minor friction for individuals over the age of 60, particularly as natural gastric secretions and specialized catalysts adapt to a more conservative pace. This is precisely where the organic profile of the apple introduces an exceptional balancing effect. Apples are richly endowed with a specialized soluble fiber known as pectin. Natural pectin serves as a beautiful, texturizing cushion within the digestive matrix, softening the structural framework of the vegetable and encouraging seamless gastrointestinal comfort. Furthermore, apples contribute vital organic acids and natural antioxidants, while cruciferous selections provide distinct, sulfur-rich compounds that elegantly support the system's natural, cellular cleansing cycles. Combined, these elements form a beautifully harmonious configuration that is highly revered for its exceptional digestive tolerance. Longitudinal data from Tufts University indicate that individuals who consistently incorporate apples into their dietary patterns experience a beautifully moderated decline in baseline filtration metrics compared to those with lower consumption levels. Analyzing this preparation method demonstrates an elegant simplicity, centered on a perfectly balanced volumetric ratio. The preparation utilizes equal proportions, combining approximately 1 comfortable handful of cabbage equivalent to 3½ ounces or 100 grams with half of a medium-sized fresh apple of identical weight. To preserve perfect internal equilibrium, utilizing raw cruciferous elements directly in their uncooked state is highly discouraged. Instead, briefly blanching the vegetable in boiling water for approximately 1 minute serves as a vital structural step. This brief thermal exposure beautifully tenderizes the fibrous matrix, while safely reducing specific naturally occurring compounds that can interact with iodine absorption pathways. Additionally, this targeted blanching step naturally moderates the potassium concentration, offering exceptional peace of mind for individuals advised to manage their mineral thresholds conservatively. Following this thermal transition, rinsing the element in cool water and gently removing excess moisture prepares it beautifully for the blending process. When uniting the components, preserving the outer epidermal layer of the apple is highly recommended. The apple skin contains rich concentrations of quercetin, a profoundly respected antioxidant compound, celebrated for supporting natural circulatory harmony. Ensuring meticulous cleansing under running water remains a foundational prerequisite, occasionally enhanced by a brief immersion in a baking soda solution prior to the final rinse. Next, introducing approximately 1 cup or 200 milliliters of warm water provides the ideal fluid foundation. Warm fluids are universally preferred within mature wellness frameworks due to their deeply soothing effect on gastrointestinal pathways, compared to highly chilled beverages. Avoiding the introduction of refined sugars is highly beneficial, as the natural organic profile of the apple delivers a perfectly balanced, elegant sweetness. For those who appreciate a slightly deeper aromatic complexity, incorporating a single dried jujube fruit, a staple deeply revered in traditional Korean wellness, offers an exceptional accent, processing the combined elements until achieving a perfectly smooth fluid consistency completes this elegant preparation. Regarding optimal chronological utilization, the early morning hours consistently represent the ideal window for introducing this blend to the system. Consuming the preparation slowly and intentionally, taking modest sips rather than engaging in rapid intake, allows the internal pathways to respond beautifully. Observations within senior wellness circles note a resident in her mid-60s who navigated localized morning fluid retention and reduced vitality following late-stage reproductive transitions. Upon introducing this structured cabbage and apple alignment regularly into her early hours, her physical framework responded beautifully within several weeks, expressing a measurable reduction in tissue fullness and a wonderful renewal of daily energy. Such outcomes beautifully underscore that advanced well-being rarely demands complex or inaccessible interventions. Steady consistency practiced with humble, time-honored kitchen elements consistently yields the most meaningful support for long-term systemic vitality. This insight smoothly transitioned toward exploring a subsequent Korean-inspired culinary method designed to further enhance structural resilience and healthy aging parameters. Chapter 7. Proteomic Equilibrium, Structural Lean Mass Retention and Hypophosphatemic Dietary Alignments. The analysis gracefully advances toward the second foundational culinary pattern, which harmoniously unites the attributes of cabbage with pristine egg albumin and highly refined lean protein. This specific configuration carries profound significance because it actively addresses one of the most critical physiological adjustments observed in mature years: the gradual moderation of structural lean mass. Long-term data from the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health consistently demonstrate that maintaining an optimal baseline of lean physical tissue is deeply intertwined with overall longevity and lifestyle independence. Skeletal muscle tissue serves a far broader purpose than facilitating basic daily mobility. This vital structural component plays an active role in supporting global glucose equilibrium, robust immune responsiveness, somatic balance, and long-term neurological clarity. Nevertheless, baseline lean mass naturally experiences a progressive modification as the chronological timeline advances. Beginning near the 4th decade, the physical framework can experience a gradual reduction in lean tissue each year, a process that frequently accelerates without regular physical engagement and targeted nutritional support. By the 6th decade, some individuals may navigate a measurable transition in the overall density of the structural framework they possessed in earlier years. To sustain this vital tissue, the physical system depends fundamentally on high-quality amino acid intake. This is precisely where confusion occasionally arises within senior wellness circles, particularly when navigating a natural reduction in filtration efficiency. Observing a conservative threshold for overall protein volume is frequently advised to protect the internal filtration architecture from unnecessary processing demands. However, reducing this intake too extremely can inadvertently accelerate tissue loss, introducing physical weakness and altering baseline postural stability. Therefore, the primary objective is never the elimination of protein, but rather the intentional selection of premium, highly bioavailable sources managed within precise volumetric boundaries. Egg albumin, or the white of the egg, represents one of the most magnificent, pristine protein sources available to the maturing system. This choice delivers exceptional structural nourishment while maintaining an incredibly low phosphorus baseline and virtually zero cholesterol compared to the dense yolk center. For individuals explicitly advised to manage their daily phosphorus absorption conservatively, utilizing egg albumin offers a highly practical and secure solution. When paired beautifully with cabbage, these elements form an exceptionally gentle and deeply restorative meal. The cruciferous vegetable supplies essential organic fibers and vital antioxidants, while the clean protein actively supports long-term tissue preservation and healthy aging parameters. Furthermore, this specific preparation achieves an incredibly soft, uniform texture that is perfectly accommodated by sensitive dental architecture or a moderated appetite. The culinary execution demonstrates a refined focus on structural balance and gentle thermal processing. The method begins with approximately 1 cup, or 150 grams, of finely sliced fresh cabbage, distributed evenly across a shallow steaming vessel. Next, gently separating and utilizing the albumin from 2 fresh eggs, while allowing the dense center to be reserved for secondary culinary uses, provides the ideal protein layer. Pouring the liquid albumin smoothly over the prepared vegetable layer establishes the core foundation of the dish. Introducing 1 teaspoon of finely minced fresh ginger offers an exceptional element, a practice deeply revered in traditional Korean wellness, to encourage internal warmth and digestive harmony. The naturally warming attributes of ginger beautifully complement the crisp, cooling properties of cabbage, creating a perfect energetic equilibrium at the daily table. Seasoning the composition with a minimal, subtle accent of pure salt remains entirely optional, based on unique fluid tension parameters. Subjecting the entire presentation to gentle steam for exactly 10 minutes yields an exceptionally delicate, custard-like texture that requires minimal mastication. For those requiring an elevated protein profile, incorporating thin, meticulously prepared portions of skinless poultry, breast or lean pork, tenderloin approximately 2 ounces or 50 grams is highly beneficial. This elegant preparation represents a magnificent choice for the early morning hours, or a light, comfortable evening sitting. Ongoing tracking within senior care networks observes an individual in her early 70s who navigated elevated vascular tension, alongside a noticeable reduction in lower extremity lean mass. Managing stairs had gradually become a source of physical hesitation, leaving her highly concerned about balancing daily protein needs with her filtration safety parameters. Upon incorporating this steamed cabbage and albumin preparation into her early routine, alongside structured movement and direct clinical oversight, her physical framework expressed a beautiful progression. Several months later, evaluations confirmed enhanced stability during vertical movement, allowing her to approach daily stairs with a wonderful renewal of physical confidence. These milestones beautifully demonstrate that healthy aging is never defined by the fearful avoidance of whole foods. True vitality thrives on the art of selecting ideal components, preparing them with protective culinary techniques, and enjoying them with perfect structural balance. Simple, elegant preparations utilizing entirely familiar domestic ingredients consistently deliver the exact biological support the maturing system requires to thrive. This insight smoothly transition toward evaluating a subsequent, time-honored preparation method celebrated for supporting exceptional gastrointestinal comfort and long-term metabolic weight management. Chapter 8. Fermentation Matrices, Probiotic Enzymatic Integration and Aqueous Mineral Reduction. The analysis gracefully transitions toward the third, protective culinary pattern, which beautifully highlights how traditional processing techniques can optimize cruciferous elements for the maturing system, while concerns regarding potassium concentrations occasionally prompt individuals to omit this vegetable entirely. Implementing targeted culinary methods preserves its inclusion within a balanced lifestyle. This specific methodology draws inspiration from a dietary tradition embraced for generations in Korea, centered on the sophisticated biochemistry of traditional fermented soybean paste, known as doenjang. Alongside revered staples such as Doenjang and gochujang, these fermented mediums serve as foundational elements of historical culinary wisdom. These time-honored selections are richly endowed with supportive microbial cultures, and naturally occurring enzymes that systematically pre-digest whole foods, enhancing gastrointestinal equilibrium. For mature individuals navigating a more sensitive, digestive pace, this biochemical breakdown allows the nutritional benefits of the vegetable to be enjoyed with exceptional comfort. An equally critical dimension of this preparation involves the targeted reduction of potassium content through deliberate aqueous pre-treatment. Because potassium operates as a highly water-soluble mineral element, a measured portion of its concentration naturally leaches into the fluid medium. During this intentional soaking phase, the initial step involves reduction into bite-sized segments and immersion in pure water for approximately 20 minutes. Subsequently, subjecting the vegetable to a brief thermal blanching in boiling water, followed by thorough draining, further moderates the mineral threshold. These accessible adjustments successfully optimize the ingredient, ensuring it is beautifully accommodated by the internal clearance pathways. Naturally, individuals navigating advanced modifications in systemic filtration should consistently align their mineral thresholds with individualized guidance from a primary clinical specialist. The assembly of this supportive dish demonstrates a refined focus on structural balance and premium botanical synergy. Combining the conditioned vegetable with 1 measured tablespoon of traditional fermented soybean paste provides the optimal flavoring and probiotic threshold. Introducing 1 tablespoon of pure sesame oil alongside a subtle accent of minced fresh garlic completes the basic composition. Incorporating these elements together with a gentle motion distributes the rich nutrients uniformly across the prepared cruciferous base. Pure sesame oil delivers outstanding concentrations of natural antioxidant compounds, while the fermented soybean medium introduces exceptional bioactive plant constituents and deep aromatic complexity. Together, these components create a presentation that is both profoundly nourishing and deeply satisfying to the system. For those who appreciate warm, fluid-based preparations, utilizing these elements within a gentle soybean broth represents an outstanding alternative. An exceptionally helpful tip involves introducing the cruciferous components near the final conclusion of the thermal process, allowing the seasoned broth to complete its preparation prior to adding the vegetable, followed by a brief simmer of only 2 to 3 minutes. Beautifully preserves both structural texture and delicate vitamins. Maintaining a structured awareness of volume remains highly recommended, because traditional soybean mediums naturally carry a defined sodium profile. A single measured tablespoon is entirely sufficient to provide deep flavor without introducing unnecessary fluid tension demands. A secondary dimension drawing significant scientific interest centers on the broader behavior of fermented cruciferous elements. Within various European traditions, this natural transformation is beautifully represented by sauerkraut. During the natural fermentation progression, supportive microbial cultures multiply exponentially, creating a highly sophisticated, rich probiotic environment. These beneficial active elements exceptionally support the delicate microbial balance within the gastrointestinal tract, contributing beautifully to systemic wellness. A healthy digestive microbiome exerts profound, positive effects throughout the entire physical framework, significantly nurturing both metabolic processing and natural immune responsiveness. Furthermore, modern researchers are deeply intrigued by the behavior of distinct sulfur-rich compounds within cabbage, specifically glucosinolates. As these components are broken down, they synthesize secondary protective agents such as sulforaphane, which are widely studied for their profound antioxidant and cellular defense properties. Interestingly, the natural fermentation matrix frequently enhances the overall activity and biological availability of these exceptional protective compounds. This fascinating interaction is precisely why fermented cruciferous presentations continue to receive dedicated attention from scientific authorities and nutrition experts worldwide. Whether integrating cabbage through a warm, traditional soybean savory dish or utilizing the natural cultures of a chilled fermented preparation, the core principle remains beautifully uncomplicated. Enduring physical vitality rarely demands inaccessible or convoluted innovations. Frequently, the deep, time-honored wisdom passed down through generations when united harmoniously with modern physiological understanding, yields the most elegant, delicious pathways for supporting long-term physical independence. This insight smoothly transitioned toward exploring a final culinary method and several practical lifestyle parameters designed to weave these supportive traditions seamlessly into the daily schedule for years to come. Chapter 9: Domestic Probiotic Cultivation, Enzymatic Fermentation Techniques and Cellular Synergy. This segment highlights the precise methodology required to establish natural cruciferous fermentation, historically celebrated as sauerkraut, directly within the structured environment of the domestic kitchen. The exceptional value of this time-honored preparation resides entirely in its profound, unadulterated structural simplicity. The execution demands only two foundational components: pristine, fresh cabbage and an unrefined, high-quality mineral salt. The introduction of refined sugars, artificial preservatives, or complex chemical seasonings is entirely unnecessary to achieve optimal biological activation. The process initiates by selecting a vibrant, structurally firm head of cruciferous vegetable and ensuring it undergoes a thorough, meticulous cleansing, removing the external leaves and reducing the remaining structure into the thinnest possible segments, allows the beneficial natural cultures to operate with maximum efficiency. When executing this preparation, preserving the dense core structure is highly recommended. Rather than discarding it, the central core delivers an exceptional concentration of vital nutrients, including specialized vitamin U, deeply revered for supporting gastric mucosal resilience, alongside essential vitamin K, which plays an important role in preserving skeletal architecture. Regarding the mineral component, pristine sea salt or unrefined, mineral-dense selections consistently represent the ideal standard. An optimal, highly calibrated baseline ratio involves utilizing 20 grams of salt for every individual kilogram of prepared vegetable, creating a precise 2% concentration, distributing the mineral component uniformly across the sliced layers, and engaging in a gentle, rhythmic compression with clean hands for 5 to 10 minutes initiates the transformation. As the fibrous cellular walls gradually soften, the vegetable beautifully releases its own rich, natural organic moisture. This pristine fluid medium creates the exact, oxygen-reduced environment required for the beneficial microbial cultures to multiply and thrive. Next, transferring and packing the compressed elements tightly into a thoroughly sanitized glass containment vessel represents a vital parameter. Pressing the mixture down firmly ensures that the entire cruciferous structure remains completely submerged beneath its own organic fluid layer, maintaining the solid vegetable beneath. The surface of the fluid serves as a critical defense, preventing the development of unwanted surface mold. If necessary, incorporating a clean, non-porous weight on top provides an excellent stabilizing measure. A small, sterilized ceramic plate or a securely sealed containment pouch filled with pure water achieves this protective compression beautifully. Crucially, avoiding sealing the containment vessel entirely is essential during the active phase. Leaving the enclosure slightly loose allows the natural carbon gases produced during the initial microbial expansion to escape safely from the system. The containment vessel should be stored at standard ambient room temperature, positioned safely away from direct solar radiation. The ideal thermal window for this progression ranges between 18°C and 22°C, or 65°F and 72°F. Following approximately 3 days of baseline rest, tasting the preparation allows for an accurate assessment of its development. Analytical profiles indicate that a duration of 5 to 7 days typically yields a beautifully developed, pleasantly tangy organic complexity. Once the preparation achieves the exact level of tartness desired, transferring the containment vessel to cold storage halts the active phase beautifully. When properly maintained under continuous refrigeration, this fermented treasure preserves its active vitality and crisp texture for several months. In fact, the structural flavor profile frequently achieves a much richer, more sophisticated complexity as the maturation timeline extends. Systematic monitoring within advanced aging studies observes a retired individual in her early 60s who integrated a modest, measured portion of homemade fermented cabbage prior to her primary meals. Alongside maintaining a structured awareness of her global dietary habits, she experienced a beautifully progressive stabilization in metabolic weight management, glucose equilibrium, and overall daily energy reserves. While individual biological outcomes naturally vary based on unique physical baselines, these observations consistently indicate that simple, structured habits foster a profound sense of physical control. Naturally fermented cruciferous selections have long been appreciated across diverse global cultures for nurturing exceptional gastrointestinal comfort. Within classic European traditions, sauerkraut is systematically paired alongside rich, dense proteins to encourage seamless metabolic breakdown and optimize digestive processing. Similarly, time-honored practices in Korea regularly utilize diverse, fermented botanical sides to elegantly balance the daily menu, a strategy that aligns magnificently with modern longevity goals. For those desiring to enrich the visual presentation and expand the antioxidant profile, incorporating subtle ribbons of red bell pepper, crisp carrots, or mild, non-stimulant chili elements prior to fermentation is highly beneficial. These vibrant botanical additions introduce secondary carotenoids and natural vitamins, while transforming the completed dish into a beautifully colorful centerpiece. Frequently, the most profoundly powerful wellness habits are those defined by absolute simplicity and chronological consistency. A humble, beautifully managed jar of domestic fermented cabbage represents a magnificent, accessible tool to safeguard the internal systems and support a long-term journey of vibrant, independent aging. Chapter 10. Marine Alkalinity, Alginate Polysaccharides and Osmotic Texturizing in Fresh Botanical Compositions. The analysis gracefully culminates in evaluating a final, time-honored culinary pattern deeply revered in Korea, exceptionally celebrated for supporting metabolic weight boundaries and nurturing healthy lipid profiles. This elegant preparation harmoniously centers on the crisp synergy of fresh marine vegetables and cool cucumber. Fresh sea vegetables offer a distinctly unique structural profile compared to their dehydrated counterparts. Because the plant matrix has not undergone thermal drying, its naturally occurring bioactive compounds and soluble mucilaginous fibers remain beautifully intact. Biochemical reports from research institutes in Japan indicate that fresh sea vegetables contain exceptionally dense volumes of alginate, a specialized soluble polysaccharide. Natural alginate operates systematically within the gastrointestinal matrix, gently binding excess lipid fractions and supporting optimal cholesterol equilibrium. An additional compound residing within these marine elements, known as fucoidin, has been widely studied for its prospective role in pacing carbohydrate absorption and promoting a beautifully regulated postprandial metabolic response. Longitudinal observation across senior care networks indicates that individuals navigating metabolic weight boundaries frequently balance multiple, interconnected physiological factors. Subtle shifts in vascular tension, fluid movement, and broader metabolic efficiency frequently unfold simultaneously within the maturing physical framework. Fresh marine vegetables naturally supply vital concentrations of iodine, foundational magnesium, and cell-supporting potassium. These essential elements play an extraordinary role in preserving normative cellular communication, systemic fluid balance, and smooth circulatory delivery. However, integrating these nutrient-dense elements benefits greatly from a mindful understanding of unique baseline parameters. Individuals navigating specialized thyroid profiles, particularly those managing accelerated thyroid kinetics or utilizing dedicated thyroid protocols, are encouraged to coordinate with a primary clinical specialist before introducing concentrated marine selections, due to the natural iodine density. Furthermore, for those whose gastrointestinal pathways occasionally experience temporary slowing following the introduction of chilled raw foods, briefly blanching the marine vegetable provides a beautifully supportive alternative. For the broader community of healthy individuals, this traditional Korean side dish serves as an exceptionally refreshing, nutrient-rich accent to the daily menu. The culinary execution highlights a seamless refinement, centered on utilizing seasonal elements at their biological peak. Fresh marine vegetables achieve their most magnificent texture and aromatic profile during the crisp winter and early spring months. During the cleansing process, utilizing lukewarm water rather than highly chilled fluid preserves the naturally tender, delicate architecture of the sea vegetable. Rinsing the element sequentially until the fluid medium remains completely clear prepares it beautifully for the final assembly. The subsequent phase focuses on the preparation of the cucumber, a botanical marvel composed of approximately 96% organic water. Cucumbers deliver vital potassium fractions and structural antioxidants that align magnificently with long-term, longevity-focused dietary patterns, rather than removing the outer epidermal layer entirely, simply refining any rough textures while preserving the vibrant skin. Followed by reduction into thin rounds, is highly recommended. Distributing a subtle accent of pure salt over the prepared rounds, and allowing them to rest for approximately 10 minutes, initiates an elegant osmotic texturizing process. This simple, intentional step draws out excess localized moisture, creating an exceptionally crisp structural bite, while enabling subsequent seasonings to absorb with perfect uniformity. Following this brief interval, gently removing the released fluid completes the structural preparation of the botanical component. Regarding the aromatic seasoning, traditional Korean wellness practices frequently favor a modest allocation of unrefined, savory anchovy reduction, rather than relying on sugar-heavy sauces. This classic choice introduces profound natural umami complexity, without requiring the addition of processed sweeteners, uniting the prepared marine vegetable with 1 measured tablespoon of the savory reduction, and a subtle accent of minced fresh garlic forms the core foundation. Incorporating these components with a gentle motion allows the delicate flavors to integrate beautifully. Before introducing the crisp cucumber rounds, finishing the presentation with 1 tablespoon of pure sesame oil and a generous embellishment of toasted sesame seeds completes this elegant dish. Pure sesame oil not only contributes an extraordinary, rich aroma to the table, but its lipophilic attributes also support the optimal assimilation of fat-soluble nutrients within the system. Mature individuals are frequently delighted to discover that the completed dish delivers a beautifully balanced, natural sweetness. Despite the absolute absence of added sugars, this sensory outcome occurs because the deliberate, minimal seasoning beautifully elevates the inherent organic sugars residing within the fresh vegetables themselves. This versatile composition can be enjoyed independently, as a refreshing appetizer, integrated alongside warm whole grain rice, or paired beautifully with grilled sustainable proteins. Structured feedback within senior wellness circles notes that introducing this crisp marine preparation prior to the primary meal beautifully encourages early satiety, naturally supporting mindful portion management. Other individuals observe a beautiful minimization of localized abdominal fullness and enhanced gastrointestinal comfort following their daily meals, while unique physical frameworks naturally express distinct biological responses. Time-honored traditional foods consistently offer some of the most satisfying pathways to foster enduring physical vitality. This humble, beautifully balanced marine and cucumber alignment stands as a magnificent testament to the art of longevity-focused nutrition. Final thoughts. Synthesized principles of dietary equilibrium and strategic longevity nutrition. In concluding this analytical journey, a comprehensive synthesis of the foundational principles evaluated offers an exceptional opportunity to reinforce long-term systemic vitality. Initially, 3 specific dietary configurations benefit significantly from heightened structural awareness and individual moderation. The initial observation suggests avoiding the simultaneous integration of cabbage, cucumber, and watermelon within a singular meal, particularly for individuals navigating sensitive filtration pathways or showing heightened sensitivity to highly chilled whole foods. These specific selections are exceptionally saturated with natural fluid content and potassium fractions, meaning the system frequently processes them with greater structural comfort when they are distributed independently across the daily timeline. Furthermore, regular consumption of concentrated cruciferous portions, alongside iodine-dense, marine vegetables during the same sitting requires thoughtful pacing. For those managing unique parameters within the metabolic thyroid axis, or utilizing specialized hormonal protocols, coordinating these ingredient pairings with a primary clinical specialist remains a deeply prudent measure. Additionally, individuals relying on dedicated circulatory thinning therapies, such as traditional anticoagulant agents, must maintain exceptional consistency regarding their daily, fat-soluble vitamin K intake. Preserving a beautifully predictable, steady dietary baseline represents a vital priority, and consulting a healthcare team prior to introducing sudden fluctuations in leafy green volumes safeguards the system against unexpected metabolic demands. In parallel, the exploration highlighted 4-time-honored, protective culinary styles, designed to integrate this magnificent vegetable with complete comfort. The initial method focuses on a warm cruciferous and apple infusion, utilizing a brief thermal pre-treatment, before processing to establish an exceptionally gentle, refreshing addition to the morning routine. The subsequent pattern introduces steamed cabbage, beautifully aligned with pristine egg albumin, a combination that supplies premium, bioavailable amino acids, while remaining flawlessly suited for sensitive dental architecture and seamless gastrointestinal transit. The third strategic methodology incorporates traditional fermented soybean paste, demonstrating how purposeful aqueous soaking and blanching effectively moderate potassium thresholds, while introducing supportive microbial cultures, revered for nurturing gastrointestinal equilibrium. The final protective alignment celebrates home-fermented cabbage, or sauerkraut, a global staple embraced for generations as an exceptional, accessible medium to enrich the internal microbiome and deliver pristine organic fibers. As a beautiful culinary complement, the discussion also evaluated a fresh sea vegetable and crisp cucumber salad, a traditional Korean masterpiece that aligns magnificently with structured lipid management and postprandial glucose regulation. The definitive insight anchoring this entire exploration demonstrates that, while cabbage remains one of nature's most profoundly nutritious offerings, the specific method of its preparation, and the elements with which it shares the table, dictate its ultimate interaction with the body. Simple, accessible kitchen adaptations, including intentional soaking or brief thermal blanching, serve as extraordinary tools to enhance digestibility and protect delicate clearance pathways. For individuals navigating advanced transitions in systemic filtration, metabolic axes, or utilizing specialized circulatory protocols, collaborating closely with a primary clinical specialist ensures these adjustments perfectly accommodate unique biological requirements. The encouraging reality remains that achieving this beautiful state of physiological harmony requires no expensive supplements or convoluted, non-accessible ingredients. Each of these supportive, longevity-focused preparations can be executed flawlessly within the domestic environment, utilizing entirely humble, familiar ingredients already resting in the kitchen. Ultimately, it is the accumulation of these modest, highly intentional daily adjustments within long-term behavioral patterns that fosters the deepest difference over time. This elegant dedication to balance, structure, and consistency represents the true, beautiful essence of a vibrant and independent journey toward healthy aging. Closing message. Epilogue: the enduring legacy of consistent habits and systemic longevity. As this exploration reaches its beautiful destination, a single foundational truth remains exceptionally clear. For the long-term journey ahead, a humble, fresh head of cabbage represents an incredibly accessible, cost-effective botanical resource capable of providing numerous, deeply nourishing meals. True vitality and physical independence do not demand specialized pharmaceutical, compounding or exhausting, convoluted routines. Frequently, the minimal, highly intentional selections made at the daily dinner table accumulate to forge the most profound physiological differences over time. If the ultimate objective is to remain vibrant, protect hard-won lifestyle independence, and enjoy countless memories with children and grandchildren, remember that healthy aging is built entirely on daily habits. Small, targeted adjustments, practiced with unyielding consistency, routinely deliver the most magnificent structural transformations. An exceptional pathway forward begins by simply integrating one mindful adjustment during the very next meal. If this comprehensive synthesis provided valuable wellness insights, supporting this publication through standard digital engagements, and aligning with the channel remains highly encouraged. These collaborative steps immensely support the ongoing distribution of practical, longevity-focused lifestyle information inspired by time-honored Korean wellness traditions to mature communities across North America. Furthermore, shared reflections and systemic inquiries regarding these traditional preparations, or broader parameters of systemic filtration protection, are deeply welcomed within the digital forum below. Every unique perspective and inquiry within the community is valued with the utmost care to guide future educational developments. Heartfelt appreciation is extended to all who dedicated their valuable time to explore these foundational wellness principles today. Until the subsequent analytical journey unfolds, may continuous health, profound harmony, and many exceptionally vibrant years accompany you and your loved ones. Stay well, and the exploration will resume beautifully in the next upcoming presentation.